I'm Dutch, and let's react to the Americans. Hello, and welcome to my channel. My name is Johan, and I'm a typical Dutchman. And if you're planning to come over to Europe for your holiday or to permanently living here, or if you're wondering why is everything in America so expensive in comparison with Europe, then you are at the right channel, because in this channel we take a look at what the differences are between the US and Europe, or what the differences are between the cost of life and living in the US versus the cost of life and living in Europe. And today we're going to take a look at what America could learn from European highways. I wonder, because usually the American highways are an example of how things are done in Europe. But we do it a bit better, I guess. And that's what we're going to take a look at. We start with subscribe and like to the channel. And then let's take a look why this is.
Millions of Americans drive on highways without a second thought. They switch lanes, pass other vehicles, and trust their roads to keep them safe. But while American highways may look safe, they aren't the gold standard.
Some 90-30 major roads, so 90-30% of major roads in the US are poor or mediocre, in poor or mediocre condition, an improvement from the 43% recorded in 2020. Driving on deteriorated and congested roads still costs the average driver over $1,400 a year in vehicle operating costs and lost time. Okay, if we're talking about the cost of life and living, this is a good amount.
Europe is home to some of the safest highways in the world, and
yeah, but I say 2019
they
or
aren't
something.
the gold standard. Europe is home to some of the
The World Bank estimates, using 2019 figures, that the EU has 60 road deaths per 1 million people. This compares with 130 in the US and 170 worldwide. So 60 per 1 million, and in the US double, even more than double, and in worldwide almost triple.
safest highways in the world. And they're not just better, they're over 200% better at keeping drivers safe. That's not an accident, that's engineering.
Okay.
But here's the strange part. European roads are often much narrower than those in the US, with some even allowing drivers to drive at speeds no American would think safe. So how is that possible? And what makes European highways so uniquely safe? To answer that, we need to look at where it all started. After
It was British because they drove on the left side of the road.
World War II, the US entered a period of rapid growth. Highways stretched across the country and car ownership became a central part of American life. However,
It still is.
across the Atlantic, the picture was very different. European cities had been devastated by war. Bomb
Bombed to oblivion.
craters tore through roads and entire transport networks were left in ruins. But beneath the ruins was a rare opportunity. With so much already wiped out, Europe had the opportunity to rebuild, not just what was lost, but what had long been broken. Before the war, many roads were tight and inconsistent. They were also shared by cars, trams, and pedestrians, resulting in collisions, which often turned deadly. And by the late 1930s, the problem had reached a breaking point. Britain alone recorded over 8,000
Oh, so this is about Britain.
road deaths in a single year, its highest on record. Now faced with a blank slate, countries had the chance to design something better. And they did. Sweden was the first to establish a national road safety board, and other countries soon followed. By the end of the 20th century, every major European nation had pulled ahead of the US in road safety. But the momentum didn't just stop there. Between 2001 and 2017, EU road deaths were slashed by more than half, making Europe the safest continent to drive in. All this progress didn't happen by chance. It came from doing things differently. So how exactly are European highways different from the US? And how do European roads continue to keep drivers safer than almost anywhere else? To understand that, we need to start with the most fundamental piece: road design. American roads are built for comfort. Lanes are wide, typically around 11 feet, and everything is designed to feel open.
11 feet. I have to look it up. How wide is 11 feet? 3.3 meters. 3.3528. No, let's say 10 feet is 3 meters. Yeah, okay.
At first glance, that sounds like a good thing. But in reality, that comfort hides a deadly problem. You see, these wide lanes lower the tension behind the wheel. They make roads feel spacious and unthreatening, resulting in drivers speeding even without noticing. European engineers saw this pattern and made a simple yet genius redesign. Instead of making roads more spacious, they made them tighter. With many lanes measuring a modest 9 feet, that extra squeeze forces drivers to stay alert, leading to fewer high-speed crashes. But this raises a
Yeah, okay. Make the road narrower so you are more alert of what's happening on the road and what's coming up at you. Yeah.
common question. If European roads are designed to slow drivers down, how come some don't even have speed limits?
Yeah, but that's only the one and only in Germany. And I know everybody's talking about the Autobahn, but the Autobahn in Germany has no speed limit, but not everywhere in Germany. Specific parts in Germany where, just like in America, when you drive 2 or 3 hours without any side in or exit or entry, and then you have to road, then they have said, okay, there's no town in the neighborhood, so there's no noise pollution, or then they say you can drive as fast as you want to.
The answer lies in how they're built. High-speed stretches like the Autobahn aren't typical roads. They're engineered for control. Lanes are wider to give drivers more room to react, and curves are stretched out so steering stays subtle and stable, even at high speeds. But even with this, high speed still brings high risk. Fast-moving vehicles, all traveling in the same space, is a recipe for disaster. To combat this, the Autobahn has one simple rule: keep right unless passing.
Yeah, keep right unless passing. It's a simple rule, but if I drive in Germany, and I do on a regular basis, then there are, and also in the Netherlands, there are that we call people that are notorious left drivers. They always stay left, even if there's space on the right side, on the right lane, they don't turn back to the right lane because they think, yeah, 10 meters ahead, I have to go back to the left lane, so I stay in the left lane. That's left lane drivers. They are, but the general rule is, and most of the drivers do, it's not like they don't do it, most of the drivers, 90%, actually, after passing another car, go back to the right lane.
Simple, but powerful. By moving slower vehicles to the right and reserving the left for overtaking only, traffic becomes more predictable. And that predictability is what helps prevent collisions, even when cars are speeding down the road. Still, none of this works if the road isn't kept in perfect condition, because at those speeds, even a small crack can turn into a serious hazard. In the US, road maintenance often focuses on short-term fixes. When cracks appear, they're patched. When potholes form, they're filled. Over time, these band-aid fixes turn into stitched-together surfaces full of dips and gaps. In Europe, the mindset is different. Roads are treated as long-term infrastructure, with most built to survive decades of wear. Materials like stone mastic and porous asphalt do more than hold up. They drain water and resist erosion. And instead of waiting for damage, many countries build
Construction events in Amsterdam 2025, yes?
Maintenance into the schedule from day one, and some countries go even further. In cities like Amsterdam, modular stone tiles replace traditional poured concrete. These tiles sit above a maze of buried utilities, fiber cables, and sewers. So when something breaks, workers lift the stones, fix the issue. No jackhammers, no patchwork. Just a road that puts itself back together. But pavement is just the foundation.
Yeah, I don't know if this is typically in Amsterdam or in the Netherlands, because all over the Netherlands you have this brickwork roads, brickwork roads, all over the Netherlands. And I'm thinking about, do they have in Germany and in Belgium, the roads are very bad, but in Germany, they don't have that much. They usually, for the cycling path, use concrete tiles, large ones, 2x2.
Because in Europe, safety doesn't end with smooth roads. It starts with who those roads are built for. And more often than not, they're built for people first. In Europe, road design begins with a simple truth. People come first, not drivers, but cyclists and pedestrians. The entire system is shaped around protecting them, and nowhere is that more obvious than on a bike. Across most of the US, cycling isn't dangerous because of how people ride. It's dangerous because of how roads are built.
Yeah. If I look at this, it's a cycling path, nice. But there's, I don't know what it is, going to a highway or so, or an interstate. Why don't they make it on, yeah.
Bike lanes are often just a stripe of paint pinned between moving traffic and turning cars, and they disappear right where the risk is highest, at intersections. That's where most crashes happen, and the consequences show up in the numbers. In 2010, the US recorded 4.7 cyclist deaths per 100 million kilometers traveled.
Per 100 million, again, per 100 million miles. Wow. And in the Netherlands, we don't even have that much road.
The Netherlands recorded just 1.0. The difference isn't culture, it's geometry. The Dutch understood that risk decades ago and redesigned the intersection from the ground up. Instead of squeezing cyclists into traffic at the most dangerous point, they kept them fully separated all the way to the junction. To make that possible, engineers extended the corner curb just slightly, using the existing curve to create space for a small traffic island. That one shift allows the bike path to continue straight through the intersection without needing extra room.
Yeah, looks complicated with all this shark tooth. They are called shark tooths, but it's a yield sign all the way through, because it's a triangle and with a point down means yield to the crossing lane. So yeah, and most of the time when you see this is also an elevated cross, so that cyclists have no dip. And when drivers cut corner, literally, then they get a fair bump in their suspension to, so they will slow down and give way to the cyclist. What I do not see in this intersection, and that's strange, is the crosswalk. This is usually painted crosswalk so you can walk into, but this is only a small road with two islands, or with a island in the middle, so you're safe from other people. And I guess the entire section, that's what they say, this entire section is raised.
From there, visual cues make everything clear. A red surface highlights the bike lane, painted lines mark the crossing point, and the pedestrian crosswalk shifts just behind the bike lane, giving each group their own safe space. Even drivers are repositioned. The stop line moves back a few feet, so turning cars can see cyclists directly ahead, not in their blind spot. That small change turns a dangerous glance over the shoulder into a clear line of sight. If they arrive at the junction together, both parties can respond safely. And even left turns, often the riskiest part, are simplified. Instead of cutting across traffic, cyclists follow a clear, two-part path around the corner. This isn't a special feature. It's standard design across Dutch cities, because
Yeah, but only since the 70s, I believe, that we had a brand new roadmap how to build safe roads for cyclists. Yeah.
the roads were built with people in mind. And that mindset doesn't stop with infrastructure. It shows up in the kind of drivers those roads are built to support. In the US, getting a license is quick, and in most cases, easy. With many taught by their parents, teens are cleared to drive after a short written test and a basic road exam. And once the test is passed, that's it.
Yeah, that's, in my opinion, the biggest issue with accidents in the United States is the lack of proper training to become a driver, of a deadly weapon, because it's a deadly weapon. And all you have to do is some written test and drive, half an hour? And then you have a license to use that deadly weapon.
Full driving privileges. Across Europe, this process looks very different.
What am I looking at? Very different?
Many countries set driving age at 18, and it's not cheap. The average cost ranges from $1,500 to $2,000, all while following a strict learning program. In Germany, for example, drivers must complete 14 hours of classroom instruction and 12 hours behind the wheel.
Yeah, something like that. And that's 12-hour driver lessons. 12 hours only in Germany? 14 hours for the theoretical, learning the signs and recognizing situations and knowing who has to give way and other stuff. Theoretical. And then 12 hours. It's, yeah, in the Netherlands, it's more like this. Not 40. In class lessons, 40 hours and 30. Nah. In the Netherlands, it's more like 14 hours for the in-class lessons and then another, let's say 35 hours on the road with an instructor learning how to drive. Yeah. And driving lessons can go up to, let's bring it to dollars. Driving lessons can go up to 30 to 35. Well, maybe nowadays, because I already have my driver's license for some while. Let's say you are about, $40 to $45 an hour. So.
And in countries like Croatia, the required time can stretch past 80 hours. A massive contrast to the US's minimal training. But even after earning a license, drivers are still under watch. If drivers get caught speeding or using their phones, they might have to start the entire process all over again. And while that might sound excessive to an American, the goal in Europe isn't to make things harder just for the sake of it. It's to build better drivers, helping keep roads safer for everyone who uses them. But even good habits need structure, and that's where rules, and how they're enforced, start to matter. In the US, traffic enforcement is inconsistent. Penalties vary from state to state, and even serious offenses often come with low fines or just a warning. That inconsistency makes consequences feel optional, and when enforcement depends on catching someone in the act, many drivers take the risk. Europe went with a different approach. Instead of relying on patrols and roadside stops, enforcement is built into the road system itself. Speed cameras and red light cameras track violations automatically. There's no
You don't have those in the United States. Okay. I was expecting that this is one of the better ways to manage road rage in the United States. You don't have those?
No debate, no delay. A fine shows up in your mailbox with photographic proof. And those fines hit harder. In Norway, using a phone behind the wheel can cost nearly €900.
Wow! I see the Netherlands, 420. I was still thinking that using the mobile phone was 160, but nowadays it's 420. Okay, but almost 900. Yeah, those are high. On average, they are 200 or 300 euros.
And in France, drunk driving carries a penalty of up to 4,500 euro before you even step into a courtroom. Blood alcohol limits are lower too. In most European countries, the legal limit is 0.05%, but in the US, it's 0.08%, a full 60% higher. And the results aren't just better compliance, it's a culture where getting caught isn't a maybe, it's a matter of time. But not every solution is about punishment. Some are about removing the danger before it even starts. In Europe, roundabouts are the rule, not the exception. Countries like France and the UK use them as standard intersections, and the results speak for themselves. By forcing slower, more predictable traffic flow,
Yeah, that's the entire idea. Slow.
roundabouts dramatically reduce crash fatalities by up to 90%. So if they're that effective, why hasn't the US
This is Brennan. He's driving on the left side of the road.
embraced them? Well, they did. Early American traffic circles weren't built for safety. They were built for speed. Entry points were wide, lanes overlapped, and drivers often had to switch lanes inside the circle. Crashes were common, and the
Yeah, with the car with the driver in mind, that he doesn't have to stop or has to slow down. That's why these don't work. Yeah.
concept gained a bad reputation. But here's the thing, those weren't modern roundabouts. The design was entirely different, but that distinction was lost, and the stigma stuck. Culture didn't help either. Films turned roundabouts into jokes, driving tests barely mentioned them, and without training or familiarity, hesitation became the norm. Over time, engineers defaulted to what felt predictable, stoplights and straight intersections. But that mindset is starting to shift. In Carmel, Indiana, nearly every signalized intersection was replaced with a roundabout, leading to an 80% drop in injury crashes. The success didn't just reduce accidents, it changed minds. Today, more cities are making the switch, and with every new roundabout, the idea becomes less foreign and more familiar.
Yeah, I saw an episode of Mythbusters, and where they did a test between an intersection with signal lights and an intersection with a roundabout. And the intersection with roundabout, with the same amount of drivers and random, etc., was 60% more effective and faster than than an intersection with traffic lights.
But while roundabouts reshape how traffic moves, Europe does something else just as carefully. It pays attention to where that traffic moves through. In Europe, roads don't just move people, they move through history. Many still follow ancient Roman routes, weaving past medieval towns and centuries-old landmarks. Infrastructure isn't built in place of heritage, it's built around it, with history treated as a constraint, not a casualty. This isn't just good planning. It reflects how deeply heritage is woven into the culture.
Yeah, more and more cities, except Paris. The French are an exception on this. Except Paris, more and more cities have a highway around the city, so that people who doesn't need to be in the city can still passing through or go on to their destination by going around that city and keep on going. In France, in Paris, I was there 2 years ago. I came from Spain. I came from Andorra. I came from Andorra on my way home to the Netherlands, and I had to go on a Sunday afternoon, straight through Paris to get on the other side of Paris, and I was stuck in traffic. It took me almost 2.5 hours to get through Paris. It's the only city that does not have a round a circle of a highway around the city center.
In fact, more than 80% of Europeans consider cultural preservation part of their national identity. So when new projects are proposed, planners don't just ask, can it be built? They ask, should it? That question shapes the entire process. Cultural impact
Stonehenge tunnel scheme scrapped by the government. Okay.
assessments are routine, and when a project threatens something,
Canadians sue Romania over halted Montana gold mine. Okay, that doesn't say anything. The Canadians sue Romania over halted Montana gold mine. The Canadian company worked US dollars from Romania over the Rosa Mononia gold mining project blocked in.
historically or spiritually significant, it's often rerouted or stopped altogether. That's exactly what happened in Romania. A Canadian mining company once proposed a gold mine in Rossio, Montana, that would have destroyed ancient Roman tunnels beneath a historic village.
Oh, it was a Canadian company in Romania. I thought the other way around. What has Romania to do in Canada? But it's a Canadian company. Yeah.
The public responded immediately. Protests swept the country, and by 2021, the site was protected as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The mine never happened. In the US, that kind of response is rare. Hawaii's H3 freeway was built straight through native Hawaiian land, cutting across sacred valleys, burial grounds, and ancient temples. For many, it wasn't just a highway, it was a decision made without them, one that left their history displaced and their voices dismissed. Europe's approach isn't just more careful, it's more respectful. Because when infrastructure honors what came before, it builds more than roads, it builds trust. And that trust doesn't slow down innovation. In the same places that protect ancient streets, engineers are quietly building what comes next. Europe isn't just focused on making roads safer, it's also rethinking what roads can do. In the Netherlands, a pilot known as Sola Road began with a simple bike path outside Amsterdam. But beneath the surface, photovoltaic panels quietly generated electricity, enough to power streetlights and traffic signals. The panels are skid-resistant and
I've cycled along Netherlands all the way out. This is, I've never seen it. I've never heard of it. It's the first time that so it's not something that is common in the Netherlands. But
built to
the idea is very good. I love my countryman who invented this one. Yeah.
withstand daily traffic. After early success, the project expanded into new pilots across the Netherlands and France. While one project works with sunlight, another tackles a different challenge: maintenance. The EU-funded Omicron project is developing robotic platforms that automate high-risk roadwork. These machines can seal cracks or remove lane markings with laser precision. Operators control them remotely through augmented or virtual reality, staying safely away from live traffic. With quicker repairs and fewer road closures, the benefits are already being put to work. The technology has passed field tests and is being written into European standards. But no matter what roads look like in the future, engineers will keep asking the same question: how can we make modern roads even safer?
Yeah, about road, it's almost finished, I see. About road maintenance. As I understand, the road maintenance, if there is road maintenance in the US for even 2 or 3, or I hope not, for 10 miles, then those 10 miles replacement service takes half a year or so. And that's what here in Europe takes, an evening. Maybe 2. I've seen roads, highway roads, the A1, last year. That's a road that goes from all the way south, all the way up to Amsterdam. They did not the entire road, but in phases. But every phase was one weekend 2 days, and then they were resurfaced, all surface removed, resurfaced, and repainted in 2 days.
In the last 100 years, European roads have gone from being among the most dangerous to becoming the safest in the world. But sometimes, safety isn't just about how a road is built, it's about what happens when things go wrong. That's where road barriers come in. These simple-looking structures are built to absorb massive impacts and redirect vehicles.
To another connection to another video. Yeah, this is a very interesting video. It's good. It's nice that we see that we have this much of good roads, but I'm concerned about how this is in the United States. I only, like I said at the start of the video, because of the lack of proper education, learning to drive before you handle a deadly weapon, is one of the major causes of crashes. But it's not only that, it's also many other things that we don't have here in Europe that there are in the United States. And that's also the problem that we often see. Maybe I can do a video about that too, about that when people from America are coming over to Europe, and if you want to do, then leave your big ass car at home, rent a car right here in Europe, a European car. We have automatic, almost everything is shift. But if you're coming over to permanently live in Europe, then sell your car in the United States, because most of the time a big ass truck won't fit in the many streets, small streets that we have over here in Europe, not only in the Netherlands, but in Europe. So if you want to come over, rent a car here, rent a European car here. Don't bring the big ass truck over, because you won't fit in the streets. You will consume way much more gas if you drive such a big truck, because, yeah. Okay. Oh, nice video, good video. Wondering about the traffic control, like no cameras, no. Yeah, that's strange. I was expecting that in America they would laser gun you all the time, but it isn't. Good. If you like the video, then press like. If you want to see more videos, then maybe this one is a good one too. And otherwise, please press on the subscribe button. It is really appreciated if I get more subscribers. That's really what we need to make more information spread out about the differences between Europe and the United States. Thank you for watching, and I see you in that video.